Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. Today is January 24th, 2022. Today I'm going to recap the amazing weekend that was with the NFL Divisional round games, and then NBA, NHL, college basketball, Australian Open, the what tournament was that? The Farmers Insurance Open. Oh, no, that's the next one. The American Express. There we go. And then news and notes and my best bet of the day. We're going to start in the NFL, recap the amazing weekend it was with the 4 divisional round games that were all so exciting. The first one, Bengals over the Titans, 19-16 to advance to the AFC Championship game. Joe Burrow, 28-37, 348 yards and an interception. Ryan Tannehill, 15-24, 220 yards, a touchdown, and 3 interceptions. As Evan McPherson kicks the game-winning field goal as time expired. 49ers over the Packers, 13-10 on a game-winning field goal by Robbie Gould as time expired. 49ers to the NFC Championship game. Jimmy Garoppolo, 11-19, 131 yards and a pick. Aaron Rodgers, 28-29, 225 yards. We'll get into more with Aaron Rodgers on news and notes in the coming days and weeks and months, as we know. Sunday, Rams over the Buccaneers, 30-27 on a game-ending field goal by Matt Gay after the Buccaneers were down 27-3, come back and rally to tie it, and then ultimately Matthew Stafford and the Rams come down the field and win the game, as the Rams are going to host the NFC Championship game against the 49ers. Matt Stafford, 28-38, 366 yards and 2 touchdowns. Tom Brady, 38-54, 329 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. Now you're going to be hearing questions about Tom Brady's future as well. Chiefs over the Bills, 46-32, or 42-36 in overtime, as the Chiefs advance to their 4th consecutive AFC Championship game. It'll be their 4th in a row at Arrowhead, which is amazing. As the Chiefs walk it off on a touchdown by Travis Kelce on the first drive of overtime after the Bills and then we're going back and forth in the final 2 minutes, which was an amazing show, to say the least. Patrick Mahomes, 33-44 and 378 yards, 3 touchdowns, 7 carries on the ground, 69 yards and a touchdown. Josh Allen, 27-37, 329 yards and 4 touchdowns with 11 carries and 68 yards on the ground. So, what an amazing game. All 4 of these games were amazing, but Bills-Chiefs will go down as a legendary playoff game for the ages, for a divisional round game for sure. All right, now move on to the NBA. We'll recap the weekend's games and look ahead to the games for tonight. We'll begin with Friday. Hornets over the Thunder, 121-98. Lakers over the Magic, 116-105. Clippers over the 76ers, 102-101. Hawks over the Heat, 110-108. Trailblazers over the Celtics, 109-105. Raptors over the Wizards, 109-105. Bucks over the Bulls, 94-90. Nets over the Spurs, 117-102. Grizzlies over the Nuggets, 122-118. Jazz over the Pistons, 101-111. And the Warriors over the Rockets, 105-103. On a buzzer beater by Stephen Curry. Saturday, Bucks over the Kings, 133-127. Cavs over the Thunder, 94-87. And the Suns over the Pacers, 113-103. And then yesterday, Knicks over the Clippers, 110-102. Celtics over the Wizards, 116-87. Jason Tatum, by the way, with 51 points. Heat over the Lakers, 113-107. Magic over the Bulls, 114-95. Trailblazers over the Raptors, 114-105. Hawks over the Hornets, 113-91. 76ers over the Spurs, 115-109. Mavs over the Grizzlies, 104-91. Timberwolves over the Nets, 136-125. Nuggets over the Pistons, 117-111. And the Warriors over the Jazz, 94-92. Now we look ahead to tonight's games. Only 7 o'clock. You have the Knicks and the Cavaliers. My projections, Knicks by 4.25 total. Cavs by 4.25, total 209-15. Meanwhile, it is 7.5 and 203. Over. 8 o'clock, the Pacers and the Pelicans. My projection is Pacers by a half, total 216.25. Meanwhile, it's Pelicans 2.5, total 214.5. I'm taking the Pacers plus 2.5 and plus 116 straight up. No Zion and no Brandon Ingram. Bulls Thunder. My projection is the Bulls by 2 3/8, total 213.5. Meanwhile, it is 2.5 and 214.5. Close numbers all around. And going slight edge under. And last but not least, 9 o'clock, Jazz Suns. Great game. My projection is Phoenix by a whopping 13 1/4, total 219.15. Meanwhile, it's 9.5 and 222. I'm going to lay to 9.5 with the Suns. All right, now we'll move on to the NHL. We'll recap those games from the weekend, and we will look ahead to tonight's games. Friday night. Hurricanes over the Rangers 6-3. Pens over the Blue Jackets 5-2. Stars over the Red Wings 5-4 in overtime. Islanders over the Coyotes 4-0. Wild over the Blackhawks 5-1. Panthers over the Ducks 2-1 in a shootout. Ducks over the Lightning 5-1. Blues over the Kraken 5-0. Saturday, Sabres over the Flyers 6-3. Bruins over the Jets 3-2. Devils over the Hurricanes 7-4. Rangers over the Coyotes 7-3. Caps over the Senators 3-2 in overtime. Avs over the Canadiens 3-2 in overtime. Maple Leafs over the Islanders 3-1. And John Tavares' first game in the new Islander Stadium. Predators over the Red Wings 4-1. Wild over the Blackhawks 4-3. Oilers over the Flames 5-3. And Lightning over the Sharks 7-1. Yesterday, Penguins over the Jets 3-2 in a shootout. Sens over the Blue Jackets 2-1. Kings over the Devils 3-2. Kraken over the Panthers 5-3. And the Blues over the Canucks 3-1. Now we look ahead to tonight's game. 7 o'clock, we have the Ducks and the Bruins from TD Garden. Boston minus 295. Anaheim plus 235. Over under 5.5. Overs minus 120. Unders minus 102. Ducks plus 1F is minus 114. Boston minus 1F is minus 106. I'm going to have Ducks puck line plus 1.5 and minus 114. I think this is a 1-goal game. I know the Bruins have Tuukka back and they're playing great, but I just like Anaheim to keep this one close. Kings Rangers from Madison Square Garden. Rangers minus 164. Kings plus 136. Over on the 5.5. Overs minus 118. Unders minus 104. Kings plus 1.5 is minus 205. Rangers minus 1.5 is plus 164. Tough one. I'm going to go with the under because I think this is a low-scoring game. Igor Shesterkin will play better than he did against the Coyotes. Stars Flyers. Stars minus 156. Flyers plus 130. Over under 6. Overs minus 105. Unders minus 115. Stars minus 1.5 is plus 168. Flyers plus 1.5 is minus 210. Tough one, but I'm going to go Dallas in regulation at even money. Golden Knights Capitals on the NHL Network. Caps minus 128. Vegas plus 106. Over under 6. Overs minus 114. Unders minus 106. Vegas plus 1F is minus 250. Caps minus 1F is plus 198. I'm going to go. This is a tough one. Vegas on the East Coast for the second time this year. I like the under. I don't feel good about it, but I'm going to go with the under here. 8 o'clock, Canadiens Wild. Wild minus 350. Canadiens plus 275. Over under 6.5. Overs even money. Unders minus 122. Canadiens plus 1F is plus 118. Wild minus 1F is minus 144. I know the Canadiens have been more competitive lately. But you know what? I'm going to do it. Plus 1F and plus 118. For some reason, the Blackhawks Avalanche line just came down on FanDuel. There must have been like an injury, so we'll go back to that. Blues Flames. Flames minus 142. Blues plus 118. Over under 6. Overs minus 104. Unders minus 118. Blues plus 1F is minus 230. Flames minus 1F is plus 184. I'm going to go with the Blues as a home or a road dog. They're playing better than the Flames, so give me the Blues plus 118. Or this could be Vegas knows. And then Blackhawks Avs. Avs are minus 310. Blackhawks plus 245. Over under 6. Overs minus 120. Unders minus 102. Blackhawks plus 1F is plus 108. Avs minus 1F is minus 132. This was the same match up as a couple Friday nights ago when I had my buddy Steve on the podcast. And we thought about going with the Avs, and he said to me off the air that he thought that the Blackhawks were going to win or come close. I think that's the case again here. I don't know if they'll win. I just think they're going to come close. Give me the Blackhawks plus 1.5 at plus 108 on the puck line. All right, college basketball. We'll recap the weekend's games, and we will look ahead to the games being played for tonight. So, Friday, Toledo over Ohio, 87-69. Maryland over number 17, Illinois, 81-65. Illinois State over Evansville, 94-56. St. Fran, PA over Central Connecticut, 68-67. Mount St. Mary over Sacred Heart, 98-59. Bryant over Merrimack, 79-73. Or 63. Wagner over LIU, 92-85 in overtime. St. Fran, Brooklyn over Fairleigh Dickinson, 80-78. Cleveland State over Youngstown State, 64-61. Purdue Fort Wayne over Robert Morris, 86-62. St. Bonaventure over Duquesne, 64-56. Canisius over Rider, 70-69. St. Peter's over Niagara, 74-68 in overtime. Manhattan over Siena, 75-68. Buffalo over Kent State, 64-51. Number 14, Michigan State over number 8, Wisconsin, 86-74. And Nevada over Fresno State, 77-73. Saturday, number 6, Duke over Syracuse, 79-59. Number 11, Villanova over Georgetown, 85-74. Number 18, Texas Tech over West Virginia, 78-65. St. Hall over St. John's, 66-60. BC over Virginia Tech, 68-63. UMBC over Maine, 88-46. Northern Kentucky over IUPUI, 60-41. Hofstra over Northeastern, 72-50. Minnesota over Rutgers, 68-65. George Washington over Rhode Island, 63-61. Number 2, Auburn over number 12, Kentucky, 80-71. Boston University over Lehigh, 80-74. New Hampshire over UMass Lowell, 67-61. Oakland over Green Bay, 68-61. Valpo over Indiana State, 75-73. Chattanooga over VMI, 78-74. Delaware over Elan, 80-77. Florida over Vanderbilt, 61-42. Army over Navy, 74-73 in overtime. Number 23, Texas over Oklahoma State, 56-51. Bucknell over Holy Cross, 68-65. UCF over Tulane, 68-66. Loyola Maryland over American, 78-73. Middle Tennessee over Southern Miss, 74-60. UNC Asheville over Radford, 78-74 in overtime. Winthrop over Gardner-Webb, 64-62. Florida State over Miami, 61-60. Princeton over Dartmouth, 84-80. Cornell over Harvard, 76-61. Brown over Columbia, 93-74. Coastal Carolina over Georgia State, 72-68 in overtime. Davidson over Fordham, 69-66. UNC Wilmington over Towson, 81-77 in overtime. William & Mary over Drexel, 83-75. Bowling Green over Western Michigan, 82-75. Colorado State over Air Force, 73-53. Lipscomb over Kennesaw, 77-73. VC over St. Joe's, 70-54. Number 5, Baylor over Oklahoma, 65-51. Florida A&M over Alcorn State, 70-68. Charlotte over Rice, 67-64. New Mexico State over Stephen F. Austin, 72-58. Sam Houston over Grand Canyon, 58-56. Longwood over Presbyterian, 71-70. Detroit over Milwaukee, 71-58. Arkansas State over Texas State, 67-60. Little Rock over Texas Arlington, 98-96 in triple overtime. South Alabama over Yale Monroe, 68-56. App State over Georgia Southern, 70-62. South Dakota State over Western Illinois, 93-75. UNLV over San Jose State, 70-62. Missouri State over number 22, Loyola Chicago, 79-69. Grambling over Mississippi Valley State, 68-64. Miami of Ohio over Northern Illinois, 85-82 in overtime. South Carolina over Georgia, 83-66. Number 7, Kansas over Kansas State, 78-75. TCU over number 15, Iowa State, 59-44. Bethune-Cookman over Jackson State, 55-50. Howard over Morgan State, 91-82. Southeast Louisiana over Nichols, 101-93. Long Beach State over UC Irvine, 73-67. Morgan State over SIU Eversole, 77-74. Tennessee State over Austin Peay, 65-61. NC State over Maryland Eastern, 69-60. UB over Louisiana Tech, 83-76. FA over Marshall, 71-60. Montana over Northern Arizona, 58-48. Southern Utah over Idaho State, 86-74. Utah Valley over Lamar, 58-41. App Christian over Cal Baptist, 77-68. Hampton over High Point, 68-64 in overtime. SCFC over Charleston Southern, 70-57. Notre Dame over Louisville, 80-70. NC State over Virginia, 77-63. Penn over Yale, 76-68. Jacksonville State over Florida Gulf Coast, 79-71. Denver over Omaha, 94-63. The Citadel over East Tennessee State, 75-73. James Madison over Charleston, 95-94. Mississippi State over Ole Miss, 78-60. Southeast Missouri State over Eastern Illinois, 87-58. NC Central over Delaware State, 73-49. Houston Baptist over Texas A&M Corpus Christi, 77-71. Stetson over North Alabama, 67-65. Richmond over LaSalle, 64-56. Iowa over Penn State, 68-51. Idaho over Sacramento State, 73-72 in overtime. Northern Colorado over Eastern Washington, 87-83. New Orleans over Northwestern State, 85-77. McNeese over Incarnate Word, 82-72. Campbell over NC A&T, 73-72. UNC Greensboro over Samford, 61-58. Mercer over Western Carolina, 72-64. Creighton over DePaul, 60-47. Number 10, Houston over East Carolina, 79-36. Number 24, Tennessee over number 13, LSU, 64-50. Norfolk State over Coppin State, 84-77. North Texas over Old Dominion, 69-56. Clemson over Pitt, 75-48. Drake over Northern Iowa, 82-74 in overtime. Alabama over Missouri, 86-76. Number 16, USC over Utah, 79-67. Prairie View over Alabama State, 70-67. Southern over Arkansas Pine Bluff, 99-51. Texas Southern over Alabama A&M, 78-44. FA over Western Kentucky, 86-83. Stony Brook over Albany, 86-75. Vermont over Hartford, 82-72. Binghamton over NJIT, 68-57. Eastern Kentucky over North Florida, 67-58. Bellarmine over Jacksonville, 76-73 in overtime. George Mason over Dayton, 50-49. Furman over Wofford, 75-50. Akron over Eastern Michigan, 46-44. San Francisco over Pepperdine, 71-45. New Mexico over Wyoming, Wyoming over New Mexico, 93-91. Murray State over Tennessee Martin, 74-66. Seattle over Tarleton, 76-68. Wake over North Carolina, 98-76. Wright State over UIC, 97-81. Louisiana over Troy, 69-59. Bradley over Southern Illinois, 70-62. North Dakota State over Oral Roberts, 72-71. UMKC over North Dakota, 79-74. South Dakota over St. Thomas, Minnesota, 90-79. San Diego over Pacific, 73-65. Arkansas over Texas A&M, 76-73 in overtime. The number 9 UCLA over Colorado, 71-65. Cal State Fullerton over UC San Diego, 83-80. Dixie State over Texas Rio Grande, 84-74. Or 85-74. BYU over Portland, 78-65. Boise over San Diego State, 42-37. Hawaii over Cal Poly, 69-56. UC Riverside over Cal State Northridge, 77-67. Montana State over Portland State, 73-60. St. Mary's over Loyola Marymount, 83-51. And Stanford over Arizona State, 79-76. Yesterday, number 21, Providence over Butler, 69-62. Number 4, Purdue over Northwestern, 80-60. Bryant over St. Francis Brooklyn, 85-68. Rider over Niagara, 70-67. Canisius over St. Peter's, 63-60. Marquette over number 20 Xavier, 75-64. Mount St. Mary's over Central Connecticut, 65-50. Purdue Fort Wayne over Youngstown State, 82-71. Evansville over Illinois State, 56-53. Fairfield over Marist, 69-66. Monmouth over Manhattan, 78-62. Iona over Quinnipiac, 76-61. St. Louis over UMass, 90-59. Number 3, Arizona over Cal, 96-71. Memphis over Tulsa, 83-81. Wagner over Merrimack, 71-57. Cleveland State over Robert Morris, 75-68. Michigan over Indiana, 80-62. UTEP over UTSA, 59-54. St. Fran, PA over Sacred Heart, 85-74. Georgia Tech over Clayton, 103-53. LA over Fairleigh Dickinson, 79-75. And Oregon over Washington, 84-56. Now we look ahead to the games tonight. 5 o'clock, you have Jacksonville and Kennesaw State. My projection is Jacksonville by 1 3/4. And it is Kennesaw 3.5 total 127. I'm taking Jacksonville plus a 3.5 and plus 146 to win on the money line. Winthrop high point at 6 o'clock. My projection is Winthrop by 16 3/4, and it's 2.5 and 136.5. I love Winthrop minus the points. Love it, love it, love it. BC Wake on the ACC network. My projection is Wake by 13 and an eighth, and it's 10 and 141 to have them laying the points with Wake. Longwood Hampton. My projection is Longwood by 9, and it's 7.5 and 130.5 over. Belmont, Eastern Illinois. My projection is Belmont by 19 and 7/8. And it's 24.5 and 136. I'm taking Eastern Illinois plus the 24.5. Seven o'clock, Spurgeon, UMKC, we can skip. Michigan, Dearborn, Oakland, we can skip. Brescia, IUPUI, we can skip. South Dakota and Western Illinois. My projection is Western by 2 and 3/8. And it's 5.5 and 150.5. I'm taking South Dakota in the points. St. Joe's, George Mason. My projection is George Mason by 7.25. And it is let's see here. 7 and 137. Over. Bellarmine and Jacksonville State. My projection for this one is Jacksonville State by 5 and 7/8. And it's 6.5 and 136.5. Over. SEC Network Plus, Florida Ole Miss. My projection is Florida by 2 3/4. And it's 4.5 and 134. Over. Towson, Delaware. My projection is Delaware by 11 3/4. And it's 2 and 140.5. I'm laying the 2 with Delaware. Lafayette, American. My projection is American by 5. And it's 1.5 and 133.5. I'm laying the 1.5 with American at even money, by the way. UNC Wilmington and Northeastern. My projection is Northeastern by 4.25. And it's 3.5 and 132.5. I'm taking the over. Tennessee State and Morehead State. My projection is Morehead by 14.25. And it's 13.5 and 136.5. I'm going to go with an under here. Loyola, Maryland, and Colgate. On CBS Sports Network, my projection is Colgate by 5. And it's 11 and 137.5. I'm taking Loyola in the 11. Morgan State and Norfolk State on ESPNU. My projection is Norfolk by 16.5. And it's 7.5 and 148. I'm laying the 7.5 with Norfolk. ESPN Louisville, Virginia. My projection is Virginia by 5. And it's 5 and 123. Over. New Hampshire, Maine. My projection is New Hampshire by 12 and 7/8. And it's 9.5 and 125.5. I'm laying the points. 7:30, Hartford, Binghamton. My projection is Hartford by 1/8. And it's 1.5 and 138.5. I'm taking the under. Howard State and Coppin State. My projection is Howard by 7/8. And it's 2.5 and 156.5. Over, but I don't feel good about it. Actually, no, I'm going to go with the under. Never mind. Jackson State and Florida A&M. My projection is Jackson State by 0.5, and it's Florida A&M by 1.5, total 123.5. I could take Jackson State plus the 1.5 and minus 106. Alcorn State and Bethune-Cookman. My projection is Alcorn by 3, and it's 3.5 and 128.5. Over. NC Central, Maryland Eastern Shore. My projection is NC Central by 15 and 5/8, and it's only 1.5 and 132.5. I'm laying the 1.5 at NC Central at even money. SC State and Delaware State. My projection is Delaware State by 3/8, and it's South Carolina State by 8.5, total 140.5. I'm taking Delaware State plus 8.5 and plus 310 the win outright. 8 o'clock, Sacramento State, Northern Arizona. My projection is Northern Arizona by 1 3/8. And it's 2.5 and 133.5. Over. ACC Network, Virginia Tech, North Carolina. My projection is UNC by 9.5. And it's 5 and 141. I'm laying the 5 at UNC. Tennessee Tech and Murray State. My projection is Murray by 20.5. And 17.5 and 144.5. I'm laying the points. SIU Edwardsville and Tennessee Martin. My projection is Edwardsville by 1 3/8. And it's Martin by 1.5. Total 143.5. I'm taking Edwardsville plus the 1.5 and minus 110 straight up. So it's darn close to a pick 'em from a money line standpoint. Alabama State, Texas Southern at 8:30. My projection is Texas Southern by 20 3/4. And it's 11.5 and 136.5. I'm laying the points. Mississippi Valley State and Southern. My projection is Southern by a whopping 29 and 5/8. And it's 18.5 and 147.5. I'm laying the 18.5. Bama A&M and Prairie View A&M. My projection is Prairie View by 16 and 3/8. And 6.5 and 135.5. I'm laying the points. Pine Bluff Grambling. My projection is Grambling by 18 3/4. And it's 9.5 and 138.5. I'm laying the points. 9 o'clock, ESPN. Number 18, Texas Tech. Number 7, Kansas. It's the game of the night. My projection is Kansas by 7 and 7/8. And it's 6.5 and 140. I'm taking the over. Eastern Washington and Idaho State. My projection is Eastern by 2 and 5/8. And it's 6.5 and 142.5. I'm taking Idaho State plus the 6.5. San Diego and Santa Clara. My projection is Santa Clara by 11 and 1/8. And it's 8.5 and 144.5. I'm laying the points with Santa Clara. Fox Sports 1, Seton Hall, St. John's. My projection for this game is Hall by 7. And it's Hall by 7.5, total 152.5. That's a tough one. Kind of like the over. I think that both these teams are going to score a lot. I don't like that high of totals, but I actually like the over for that particular game. Weber State and Southern Utah. My projection is Southern Utah by 2 3/4. And it's 2 and 152.5. This is another one where I actually like the over for high total. CBS Sports Network, UNLV and San Diego State. My projection is San Diego State by 15 and 3/8. And it's 10.5 and 126. I'm laying the points. 10 o'clock, Idaho and Portland State. My projection is Portland State by 7 and 7/8. And it's 8 and 146. Over. And last but not least, Arizona State and number 11, USC, 11 o'clock on ESPN. My projection is SC by 18. And it's 13 and 134. I am laying the 13 with SC against Arizona State. All right, now we'll go over the Australian Open action from the weekend. And we will look ahead to the matches for tonight and into tomorrow morning. We'll start with the men's. And we'll start with Friday night. 4-seeded Stefanos Tsitsipas over Benoit Paire in 4 sets. Number 20, Taylor Fritz over number 15, Roberto Bautista Agut in 5. Adrian Manarino upsets 18-seed Aslan Karasev in 4. Number 6, Rafael Nadal over 28, Karen Kaklavov in 4. Number 3, Alexander Zverev over Radul Albat in 3. And 19-seed Pablo Carreño over Sebastian Corda in 4. Saturday, 4th round begins, but we'll start 3rd round. 27-seeded Marin Cilic over 5-seed Andrei Rublev in 4. 32-seeded Alex de Minaur over Pablo Andujar in 3. 11-seeded Jannik Sinner over Taro Daniel in 4. 9-seed Felix Auger-Aliassime over 24-seeded Dan Evans in 3. 2-seeded Daniil Medvedev over Botic van de Zandschulp in 3. Maxime Cressy over Chris O'Connell in 4. And in fourth round, 14-seed Denis Shapovalov over 3-seeded Alexander Zverev in 3. And 6-seed Rafael Nadal over Adrian Manarino in 3. Yesterday, fourth round, 2-seed Daniil Medvedev over Maxime Cressy in 4. 9-seed Felix Auger-Aliassime over 27-seed Martin Cilic in 4. 17-seed Matteo Berrettini over 19-seed Pablo Carreño in 3. And 17-seed Gael Monfils over Mielmar Kekmanovic in 3. And then earlier this morning, 4-seed Stefanos Tsitsipas over 20-seeded Taylor Fritz in 5. 11-seeded Jannik Sinner over 32-seeded Alex de Minaur in 3. And then tonight at 10 o'clock, you have 14-seeded Denis Shapovalov and 6-seeded Rafael Nadal in the fourth round. It's going to be a great match, I think. And I really think that Nadal is in for an interesting match. I'm going to say Nadal in 4, which is 3-1 at plus 270 as my pick for that one. And then at 4:15 a.m., you have 17-seeded Gael Monfils and 7-seed Matteo Berrettini in the second of 4 quarterfinal. I am going to go with Berrettini 5, which is plus 430. And then tomorrow in the quarterfinals, you have 19 Felix Auger-Aliassime and then Daniil Medvedev at 7 o'clock tomorrow. So we're going to preview and pick that one on tomorrow's podcast. Women's results, Friday night, third round. 2-seeded Aryna Sabalenka over 31-seeded Marketa Vondrousova in 3. Kaya Kanepi over Madison Inglis in 3. 19-seed Elise Mertens over Zhang Suhai in 2. 14-seed Simona Halep over Danka Kovnik in 2. Elias Cornet upsets 29-seeded Tamara Zinasek in 3. 27-seed Danielle Collins over Clara Tauson in 3. 1-seed Ashley Barty over 30-seed Camila Giorgi in 2. Amanda Anisimova upsets 13-seed Naomi Osaka in 3. And to conclude the third round from Saturday morning, Sorana Siresta upset 10-seeded Anastasia Pavlyuchova in 3. And 7-seeded Iga Swiatek over 25-seeded Daria Kasatkina in 2. Fourth round, 21-seeded Jessica Pegula upset 5-seeded Maria Sakkari in 2 sets. 4-seeded Barbora Krejcikova over 24-seeded Victoria Azarenka in 2. And Madison Keys upset 8-seed Paula Badosa in 2. To conclude the fourth round, yesterday, Elise Cornet over 14-seeded Simona Halep in 3. 27-seeded Danielle Collins over 19-seeded Elise Mertens in 3. 1-seeded Ashley Barty over Amanda Anisimova in 2. And it finished up the fourth round this morning. Kaya Kanepi upset 2-seeded Aryna Sabalenka in 3. 4-seeded Iga Swiatek over Sorana Siresta in 3. And then tonight at 8:30, you have 4-seeded Barbora Krejcikova and Madison Keys. I think it's going to be a great match tonight. Krejcikova's minus 120, Keys is plus 102. For set betting, I'm going to go Krejcikova 2-1, which is plus 280 to advance to the semifinal. And at 3 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time, 1-seeded Ashley Barty, 21-seeded Jessica Pegula. I think that's going to be a great match. Barty's minus 650, Pegula's plus 480. But Barty seems like she's motivated. And I think she'll win 2-0, minus 195. And then tomorrow is 27th seeded Danielle Collins and Elise Cornett. And that will go off at 7 o'clock at the same time as Medvedev and Alcaraz Salame. And we'll preview and pick that on the podcast tomorrow as well. Now we'll go over the results for the American Express Golf Tournament. It was an interesting one, to say the least. And your winner of this tournament, Hudson Swafford at 23 under. Second with 21 under, Taylor Hogue. Third with 20 under each, Lucas Hogue, Brian Harmon, and Lucas Griffin. Tied for sixth with 19 under, Dylan McCarthy, Walter Zalatoris, and Francesco Molinari. Ninth with 18 under, Patrick Cantlay. 10th with 17 under, Paul Barjan. Tied for 11th with 16 under, Saiwoo Kim and Sun Jae-im. 13th with 15 under, Wyndham Clark. 14th with 14 under, John Rahm, Roger Sloan, Brant Snecker, Zach Johnson, Adam Putnam, Seamus Power, Ryan Henley, David Lipsky. Tied for 22nd with 13 under, Harold Varner III, Patton Kizzire, Luke List. Tied for 25th with 12 under, J.J. Spawn, Adam Hadwin, J.T. Potson, Alex Smalley, Scott Stallings, Charles Howell III, Scotty Scheffler, and Grayson Sigg. Tied for 33rd with 11 under, Justin Rose, Jared Wolf, Nate Taylor, Joseph Brumlett, Camilo Vegas, Lucas Glover, and Sahith Thiglia. Tied for 40th with 10 under, Patrick Rogers, Tony Finau, Graham McDowell, Christian Ziedenhout, Vincent Whaley, Jason Duffner, Henry Higgs, Abraham Anser, Cam Young. Tied for 49th with 9 under, my pick of Jason Day, Sam Ryder, Sepp Straka, Hank Labodia, Bronson Burgoon, and Adam Svensson. Tied for 55th with 8 under, Patrick Reed, Mariano Gillick. Now I'm just going to go through notables. Tied for 59th with 7 under, Doug Gim. Tied for 63rd with 6 under, Henrik Norlander, Kanku Lee, Emiliano Grillo. 70th with 3 under, Bryce Garnett. Among those cuts, Sam Piercy, Cam Triangle, Pat Perez, Doc Redman, Alex Loren, C.T. Pond, Jonathan Vegas, Adam Long, Brock Stewart, Danny Lee, Taylor Gooch, Chester Reed, Matt Neesmith, Russell Knox, Tyler Duncan, Brendan Todd, Tyson McCumber, Dylan Fratelli, Scott Stallings, Adam Shank, Chris Kirk, John Hahn, Gary Woodland, Cam Champ, Lucas Dottle, Brendan Gay, Corey Connors, Jason Hadley, Carlos Ortiz, Kevin Stroman, Richie Wierenski, Wesley Bryan, Brendan Steele, Joaquin Herman, Ricky Fowler, Sebastian Munoz, Phil Mickelson. And that's among those cut. This week is the Farmers Insurance Open from the 26th to the 29th. So we will preview and pick that on the podcast later in the week. All right, now we'll go to news and notes. We're going to try to be quick here because of time. So yesterday was full of football. Diggs bodied fan on a field as a photo showed a moment of a fan got dropped by Stephon Diggs while running on the field during the Chiefs-Bills game. Antonio Brown tweets after the Bucs loss as he had the meme of himself with his shirt off with a sign that said Bucs eliminated, which was actually low-key funny. Tom Brady non-committal for 2023 as sources believe that The likelihood of Brady retiring was to happen if the Bucs won yesterday and repeated as Super Bowl champs. Aaron Rodgers, after the loss, says, "I'm going to take time," as he says he'll need some time to think about his future before exploring possible move. And the Packers had a blunder on the last play, as the Packers only had 10 men on the field. Jimmy G says, "F the Packers," as Twitter caught him saying that, celebrating with Robbie Gould. A-Rod was at the Packer game. Alex Rodriguez, not Aaron Rodgers. Well, Aaron Rodgers was there, but A-Rod was in the stands, freezing his butt off. Joe Burrow says the Bengals are not the underdogs. "I'm tired of the underdog narrative. We're a really, really good team." The NFL eliminates COVID protocols as the league eliminates distinction between vaccinated and unvaxxed players for daily testing. So that's the update. Ravens fired defensive coordinator Wink Martindale after 10 years. Bears legend Dick Butkus got verified on Twitter and immediately came for Aaron Rodgers. Women's basketball, number 1 South Carolina and number 9 UConn canceled because South Carolina chose to prioritize making up an SEC game over the showdown with UConn. Sad story, the ECHL suspended Jacob Panetta as he made a racist taunt at Jordan Subban, who is the brother of PK Subban. And then Panetta was released by the Jacksonville Icemen following suspension by league for what Subban says was a racist taunt. UFC news, Davison Figueiredo beat Brandon Monero by unanimous decision to become the first two-time men's flyweight champion in UFC history. And then Francis Ngannou defeated Cyril Gane, unanimous decision to become undisputed UFC heavyweight champ. Anthony Edwards carried off the field against Brooklyn with a leg injury on a hard screen. Zach LaVine could be back this week, according to Billy Donovan. Patrick Graham is getting a lot of buzz. He interviewed for the Giants head coaching job, and now he's could get an interview with the Steelers for their vacant defensive coordinator job, as their defensive coordinator retired. The Giants interviewed Brian DeBall and Leslie Frazier. Dan Quinn, Brian Flores will also get interviews. And they interviewed Lou Anarumo, the Bengals defensive coordinator, for their job as well. We talked about the Giants hiring Joe Shane as their next general manager on the emergency show from Friday with Derek. So be sure to check that out. Tyrann Mathieu had to leave the game against the Bills due to a concussion protocol. Tristan Wirfs needs surgery on 2 torn ligaments. That's unfortunate. Trent Williams x-rays negative as his ankle is fine. David Bakhtiari did not play for the Packers on Saturday night. That came back to bite him a little bit. Grayson Allen suspended 1 game by the league after a flagrant 2 foul on Alex Caruso that resulted in a wrist fracture. Some WNBA news. The Suns signed Courtney Williams to go back to the team. So Brianna Stewart's a free agent. She met with the New York Liberty, as she met with the owners Joe and Claire Sy, the front office staff, and head coach Sandy Brondello. If the Liberty pull this off, they're going to be a contender in 2022. I really need to have Jeff Maglicetti on. He needs to be this week's guest. The Phoenix Mercury to hire Vanessa Nygaard as their new head coach, as they're going to make an announcement today. John Stockton's season tickets to Gonzaga games are suspended after not complying with mask mandates. We talked about Keith Butler retiring from the Steelers. Jim Caldwell denies reports that he turned down interview requests from the Vikings and the Raiders. He says those reports are not true. The Carolina Panthers to hire Ben McAdoo, former Giants coach, as their offensive coordinator. I don't know if I like that hire. Get a quarterback, Carolina. But you never know. Ben McAdoo actually was a good offensive coordinator, but he was just a poor head coach. Like that 1 year he was the offensive coordinator. The 2 years he was the offensive coordinator with Eli Manning and Odell Beckham Jr. That Giant offense was actually pretty good. But their defense was just so bad. Deebo Samuel extension will be a top contractual priority this offseason for the 49ers. USC lands Travis Dye from Oregon, the running back. The Denver Nuggets signed Boogie Cousins to a 10-day contract. I think we talked about that. PK Subban defended his brother Jordan. Jacob was the guy's name that got in trouble. But PK had a good stance for his brother, as you would think he would, and know he would. Something really cool happened over the weekend. The Hershey Bears, the AHL affiliate of the Washington Capitals, did a teddy bear toss on Saturday night. And they set a world record with over 52,000 stuffed animals on the ice. And the scene was very epic. And it was viral all weekend long, all over the news and on ESPN. So I suggest you guys check out the video. And some non-sports related news. Louis Anderson passes away at the age of 68 from cancer. Thoughts and prayers to his family and colleagues and everything. It's really sad news. Some happy news. Nick Jonas and Priyanka Chopra welcomed a baby via surrogate. So congratulations to them. And two more sad things from the weekend. 2 New York Police Department officers were shot. 1 killed and 1 in critical condition. So the one that passed away was 22-year-old Jason Rivera. That was very, very sad. And then the one that's still alive, but in really is in rough condition. Wilbert Mora, and he underwent surgery. 27-year-old Wilbert Mora. So thoughts and prayers to the NYPD. And such. That was very sad. And then it was revealed that Brian Laundrie claimed responsibility for Gabby Petito's death in a notebook found near remains. I mean, that we knew was coming. It was a matter of when, not if, that was going to get leaked. It just felt like that's where it was going. And now the Petito family can get some leisure here. And it's just such a sad story. And this was going on for a while, for sure. And last but not least, my best bet of the day brought to you by FanDuel. I don't know where to go here, actually, believe it or not. I like a lot of games in college basketball, more so than in the NBA. But there's one that kind of jumped out, but I don't know if I want to go there. Because these two teams are poor offensive teams. And good defensive teams. I thought about the over in the Knicks-Cavs game. That line went down to 5.5. It went from 6.5 when I started the podcast, went up to 7. Now it's back down to 5.5. There must be some injuries with the Cavs. But we'll avoid that. The one I actually liked that kind of stood out was North Carolina minus the 5 against Virginia Tech. This is a bounce-back spot for the Tar Heels. I'm going to lay 2 units on it. Minus 5 at minus 114 against the Virginia Tech Hokies. So, best bet trying to go to 13-3 in 2022, which is pretty cool. All right, so tomorrow's show will be recapping everything from today, looking ahead to tomorrow. Maybe I'll have an activity, maybe not. We shall see. And I hope you guys have a great day, everyone.